Most people believe they have real friends, people who would go to the ends of the earth for them, who would never betray them, who would always stand by them. But the harsh reality is this friendship, in most cases, is conditional. And when those conditions are no longer met, the so-called friendship fades, disappears, or even turns into something toxic. People are often around you for what they can get. Maybe it's your money. Maybe it's your influence you're in. They enjoy how you make them feel, how you always show up when they need something, how you answer their calls at 2 a.m., how you listen to them without judgment. And as long as you continue playing that role, as long as you remain the person who gives more than they take, who bends over backward, who accommodates and sacrifices, they'll call you their friend. They'll tag you in happy photos, share laughs with you in public, and speak about loyalty and love. But the moment you start prioritizing yourself, pulling back, saying no, or needing them as much as they needed you, that's when the truth begins to reveal itself. Friendship for many is transactional. Not in a malicious way all the time, but it is still an exchange. And when one side feels like they're no longer getting a fair return, their interest begins to die out. It's subtle at first. They stop replying as quickly. They're busy more often. They cancel plans. Then one day, you look around and realize that the people you once called your tribe are no longer anywhere to be found. It's not because you changed. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because you stopped giving them what they needed. You became less convenient, less useful, less entertaining. And without any form goodbye, they drifted away. This is what happens when people are more attached to what you give than to who you are. Some friendships are only alive because of proximity. You're in the same school, the same job, the same neighborhood. But remove that common ground, and suddenly there's no connection. They stop checking in. You become strangers once again. Others are based on seasons. The friend you party with when life was fun isn't the same person who will sit with you during your lowest moments. Some people are only around for the highs. But when things get dark, quiet, and heavy, they vanish. You begin to realize that loyalty is not as common as people claim it is. That many friendships are based on comfort, not commitment. And that people can laugh with you and still leave you when it no longer suits them to stay. It's a hard truth to accept, especially when you built your life around these people, when you've shown up for them time and time again and believe they'd do the same. But instead of bitterness, let this truth give you clarity. You will stop overextending yourself when you realize most people are not in your life out of unconditional love. They are there for a season, a reason, or a benefit. That doesn't make them evil. It makes them human. But you must be wise enough to stop confusing closeness with loyalty and presence with permanence. Learn to observe the patterns. Who checks on you when you're silent? Who defends you when you're not in the room? Who shows up without being asked? These are the people who might deserve your energy. But even then, never give so much of yourself that you're left empty when they walk away, because people will choose themselves. And if you're smart, you will have already chosen yourself long before that moment arrives. So when the friendships fade, when the calls stop, when the invitations disappear, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't beg for explanations. Understand that some people were never your friends. They were just present during a time when your light was beneficial to them. And now that it no longer serves them, they've moved on. You must be okay with that. You must be okay with walking alone, with being your own support system, with finding peace in your own company. Because when you understand that no one is your friend, at least not in the way you once believed, you stop expecting loyalty from the wrong people and start building it within yourself. In that space, you become powerful. You stop being drained. You stop protecting your peace. You stop needing constant validation. And you begin to choose quality over quantity. You begin to see that one real connection rooted in respect, trust, and mutual support is worth more than 100 shallow friendships built on convenience. So no one is your friend, not in the sense that you should blindly trust, give, and expect loyalty without discernment. That kind of thinking will leave you disappointed, hurt, and confused. Instead, choose to value yourself first. Be whole with or without a circle. Because when you no longer need people to complete you, the right people will be drawn to your wholeness, not your usefulness. And that changes everything. Depending on others for emotional support or validation may seem natural, even comforting. But over time, it becomes dangerous. Not because connection is wrong, but because people are unpredictable, inconsistent, and often incapable of giving you the kind of loyalty and strength you're expecting from them. You must learn to be your own backbone. You must become your own rescue plan. The sooner you understand that, the less likely you are to fall apart when people inevitably let you down. You see, we grow up being told to find our circle. Our tribe people who will always be there for us, who will lift us up when we fall and stand beside us when the world turns its back. It sounds beautiful, and for a while, you may even believe you found those people. But the truth is, most of the time, what we call support is just temporary attention. People show up when it's convenient. They're available when your pain isn't too uncomfortable, when your struggles don't require too much of them. But when your healing takes time, when your darkness becomes hard to carry, most of them fade away. Not out of cruelty, but because they were never built to carry your weight in the first place. And so the moment you depend too heavily on someone else for your emotional well-being, you place your stability in their hands. You say, if you leave, I'll fall. If you stop loving me, I'll break. If you change, I'll be lost. That's dangerous because people will leave. They will stop loving you. They will change. And if you haven't built your own emotional foundation, every one of those moments will shatter you. You'll start to feel like life is unfair, like no one understands you, like you're always the one giving more. But in reality, you handed over your power. You gave others the responsibility to do for you what only you were meant to do for yourself. And this is where self-reliance comes in. Not the cold, shut everyone out kind, but the quiet, powerful, grounded type. The kind that says, I may be hurting, but I know how to hold myself together. The kind that doesn't fall apart when people disappoint you, because you've already accepted that people are flawed, and your peace was never tied to their presence. This kind of self-reliance is built in silence. It's built on lonely nights where you teach yourself how to breathe through pain. It's built on mornings where you show up for yourself even when no one else does. It's built when you stop waiting for someone to fix you and start doing the work yourself. And no, it's not easy. In fact, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do because it means facing yourself raw and unfiltered. It means holding your own hand through heartbreak, through betrayal, through uncertainty. It means wiping your own tears and saying, even if no one comes, I will not crumble. That's not weakness. That's not bitterness. That's strength. That's the kind of power no one can take away from you. When you stop depending on others to carry your emotional load, you begin to see people for who they really are, not saviors, not solutions, but humans. Flawed, inconsistent, sometimes loving, sometimes selfish. You begin to appreciate their presence without depending on it. You begin to love without clinging. You begin to listen without needing validation. That's emotional freedom. And it's the kind of freedom that protects you from the chaos of false friendships and unreliable support systems. Too many people lose themselves in the name of love, in the name of friendship, in the name of loyalty. They give and give and give, waiting for someone to notice to return the favor to stay. But people don't always stay. And when they leave, it shouldn't feel like the end of you, because if you've built yourself right, their absence will be felt, but it won't destroy you. You'll mourn, you'll hurt, but you'll rise. You will learn to let people go without resentment, without anger, without wishing them back. Because not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some were only there to teach you something about yourself. Some were only there to trigger your growth. Some were there to show you what love shouldn't feel like. Others were there to remind you that silence and distance can be the loudest answers. People will disappear without closure, and you will have to learn to give yourself that closure. You'll have to stop replaying conversations. Stop writing paragraphs you'll never send. Stop analyzing where things went wrong. Sometimes nothing went wrong. Sometimes it just ended. People change. Energy shifts. The alignment that once existed no longer does. And that's okay. Closure isn't always about explanations. It's about acceptance. Accepting that the person you care about made a choice, and that choice didn't include you. Accepting that you may never understand why. Accepting that you're still worthy of love, even if they couldn't see it. Accepting that their absence doesn't define your value. You'll begin to find peace in understanding that silence is also communication. It's their way of saying, This chapter is over, and you don't need to chase after people to reopen it. If someone wants to leave, let them. Don't try to convince them of your worth. Don't beg for their attention. Don't fight to be understood. People who truly value you will never make you question where you stand in their lives. They will never make you feel like you have to prove yourself to stay. When someone's absence brings you peace, you'll understand how toxic their presence was. You'll start to notice that life gets quieter, calmer, lighter without them. You'll sleep better. You'll smile more. You'll have more energy for the things that matter. And slowly, the pain of losing them will turn into gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons, for the strength you gained, for the person you became because of that loss. You'll realize that peace is better than people. Every single time. You'll stop chasing connections that drain you, conversations that go nowhere, people who only love you when you're convenient. You'll start to see that solitude isn't loneliness. It's clarity. It's where you meet yourself again, where you recharge, where you rebuild. You'll learn that not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, your energy, your kindness. These are privileges, not entitlements. Not everyone who wants you should have you. Some people should only experience you in memories, not in real time. Because protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's survival. You owe it to yourself to walk away from anything that costs you your peace, even if that anything is someone you once loved deeply. You'll stop romanticizing potential. You'll stop waiting for people to become who you hoped they would be. You'll stop believing that if you just love harder, they'll change. Because love isn't supposed to feel like begging. It's not supposed to be one-sided. It's not supposed to drain you. The right people won't require you to lose yourself to keep them. They'll meet you where you are, as you are, without conditions. Until then, learn to enjoy your own company. Learn to be okay with your own silence. Learn to sit with your thoughts, your emotions, your past, and your pain. Learn to turn loneliness into solitude, and solitude into strength. The moment you stop fearing being alone is the moment you become truly free. You'll stop tolerating half love, half effort, half presence. You'll stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You'll stop watering dead plants. Try and make something grow where the roots have already died. You'll start protecting your peace like your life depends on it. Because it does. And you'll realize that the people who truly love you will never make you question your worth. They will never drain you to fill themselves. They will pour into you as you pour into them. That's balance. That's mutual energy. That's real connection. So stop mourning people who left. Stop resenting people who didn't see your value. Stop blaming yourself for things you couldn't control. Some people are lessons, not losses. Some endings are blessings in disguise. And sometimes, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do for your soul. Because not everyone deserves to stay. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. And not everyone is meant to understand your journey. The people who are meant for you will find you, and they will stay without force, without pressure, without games. Until then, choose you every single time. Because when you choose yourself, the world starts to align in ways you couldn't imagine. The right people, the right opportunities, the right peace, they all start finding their way to you. And you realize that losing fake friends was never a loss. It was a filter, a divine redirection toward the people and things that are truly meant for you. When people leave, don't run after them. Watch how the energy shifts. Watch how the space they leave starts filling with peace. Watch how much lighter your days become. That's the universe showing you who belonged and who didn't. The moment you stop fighting for people who never fought for you is the moment you reclaim your power. Because you were never meant to chase. You were meant to attract. But attraction only works when you're in alignment with yourself. When your peace, your standards, your self-worth, and your boundaries are intact. That's when you stop settling for less. That's when you start saying no with confidence. That's when you stop explaining your boundaries and start enforcing them. People might call you cold. They might say you've changed. But that's because they can no longer take advantage of you. They can no longer guilt you into overgiving. They can no longer feed off your empathy while giving you nothing in return. Protecting your peace will offend those who benefited from your lack of it. But do it anyway, because you'll never regret choosing yourself. You'll never regret saying no to what drains you. You'll never regret walking away from one-sided relationships. You'll never regret outgrowing a version of you that tolerated less than you deserved. Growth will cost you people, but it will reward you with peace. And peace is priceless. You'll learn that the people who truly love you don't just say it. They show it. Through consistency, through respect, through presence. They don't disappear when things get tough. They don't go silent when you need them most. They don't make you question your place in their lives. Real love, real friendship, real loyalty. It's quiet, steady, and dependable. It doesn't require performance. It doesn't play games. It doesn't keep score. And once you experience that kind of energy, you'll never settle for anything less again. Once you raise your standards, the wrong people will start to fall away. You'll see who is really there for you and who is only there for what you could offer. When you stop entertaining inconsistency, drama, and emotional laziness, you'll notice how quiet your life becomes. And that silence will be your sanctuary, because peace isn't boring. It's healing. It's where you can finally breathe without walking on eggshells, without trying to fix anyone, without constantly questioning yourself. You'll start to realize that peace feels unfamiliar only because chaos was once your comfort zone. You were used to chasing, explaining, fixing, proving. You were addicted to potential. You kept hoping they'd change, that things would get better, that love would finally be enough. But love isn't supposed to hurt that much. It isn't supposed to drain you. It isn't supposed to feel like you're constantly auditioning for someone's approval. Real love, whether it's friendship, family, or romance, feels safe. It doesn't leave you anxious, confused, or unworthy. It feels like home. But you can't find that kind of love until you become it. You have to be that peace, that consistency, that love you crave. You have to give it to yourself first. Because when you do, you stop tolerating anything less. You start recognizing red flags faster. You stop over-explaining your boundaries. You start walking away sooner. And that's growth. That's maturity. That's healing. Healing isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about remembering without reacting. It's about understanding that you can acknowledge your pain without living in it. It's about no longer needing apologies to move on. You create your own closure. You forgive because you deserve peace, not because they deserve forgiveness. You let go because holding on hurts more than losing. You stop waiting for people to change, and instead, you start changing what you accept. And with time, you start to see the beauty in everything that broke you. You start to understand why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to leave, why certain moments had to end. You realize that life isn't punishing you. It's preparing you. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every betrayal, it was all guiding you back to yourself. It was teaching you strength, teaching you discernment, teaching you how to stand alone without fear. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that the things you thought were breaking you were actually building you. You'll start to thank the silence that once hurt, the distance that once scared you, the endings that once felt unbearable. You'll realize they were all blessings in disguise, redirections, not rejections. You'll stop taking things personally. You'll stop overthinking every detail. You'll stop feeling like you need to prove your worth to anyone. You'll start moving with quiet confidence, knowing that what's meant for you won't need to be forced. You'll attract people who match your peace, who respect your boundaries, who add to your energy instead of draining it. That's when life becomes lighter. That's when you stop surviving and start living. And maybe one day, someone will come into your life who doesn't just talk about loyalty, but lives it. Someone who doesn't just promise consistency, but proves it. Someone who doesn't make you question your value, but reminds you of it. Someone who matches your effort, respects your silence, and values your presence. And when that happens, you'll be grateful that you didn't settle for less. You'll be grateful for every ending that taught you how to recognize a real beginning. You'll finally understand why you had to lose so much, so that when real love arrives, you'll be ready to receive it without fear, without doubt, without needing to beg for it. But even if no one comes, you'll be okay, because by then, you'll have mastered the art of being whole on your own. You'll have built a life that feels peaceful, grounded, and full of meaning, with or without anyone else. You'll realize that happiness was never about having people around you. It was about being aligned within yourself. It was about living in truth, in self-respect, in peace. That's where true freedom lives. And once you taste that, you'll never go back to begging for crumbs of attention or chasing people who only see your worth when it benefits them. You'll walk differently. You'll speak differently. You'll love differently. You'll stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. You'll become the person you once needed. Strong, peaceful, grounded, and unshakable. And that's when life truly begins. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who no longer needs validation from anyone to know their value. You'll look back at every fake friend, every failed relationship, every goodbye, and instead of pain, you'll feel peace. Because now you know it all happened for a reason. It was never rejection. It was redirection. It was never loss. It was liberation. It was never abandonment. It was alignment. Every person who left created space for something greater, for your growth, your healing, your peace. And now that you've found it, protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Peace is not something you find in others. It's something you build within yourself. Guard it fiercely. Don't let anyone disturb it. Don't let temporary people create permanent wounds. Don't let guilt make you reopen doors that peace closed for a reason. When you choose peace over people, you finally understand your power. You stop seeking closure from others and start creating it yourself. You stop needing to explain your worth. You start living in alignment with your truth. That's when you become unstoppable, not because you have it all figured out, but because you finally stop fighting yourself. You finally stop trying to be understood by people who were never meant to understand you. You finally stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never built for your growth. And that's the moment your real life begins. Healing is not a straight line. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on, and other days you'll find yourself missing people you know weren't good for you. That's normal. Healing doesn't mean you never think about them again. It means you can think about them without falling apart. It means you can look back without wanting to go back. It means you can remember what happened without letting it define you. Healing is quiet. It's not dramatic. It's not something everyone will notice. It happens in small moments, when you no longer check their profile, when you stop rehearsing conversations in your head, when you catch yourself smiling without a reason. That's progress. Celebrate that. Stop measuring your healing by how quickly you get over someone or something. You're not supposed to rush your recovery. You're supposed to rebuild yourself gently, piece by piece, until your heart feels like home again. You'll learn that healing isn't about becoming who you were before. It's about becoming someone new, someone wiser, calmer, stronger. The version of you that existed before the pain no longer fits the lessons you've learned. So don't chase your old self. Create your healed self, the one who knows how to love without losing themselves, the one who knows that peace is better than attention, the one who knows that walking away is sometimes the highest form of self-respect. You'll start seeing that the things you once tolerated no longer align with who you're becoming. You'll start saying no more often, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. You'll stop trying to explain your worth. You'll stop chasing closure. You'll stop fighting for people to see your value. You'll start walking away with quiet confidence. And that's how you know you're healing. Healing isn't linear, but it's always forward. You may revisit old wounds, but each time you'll bleed less. Each time you'll understand more. Each time you'll forgive yourself deeper. And one day you'll wake up and realize the pain no longer controls you. You'll look in the mirror and see someone who survived what was meant to break them. You'll see someone who learned to love themselves again. You'll see someone who finally knows peace. That's when you'll understand that everything you lost was preparing you for everything you deserve. The truth is, most people will never understand your healing. They'll question why you become distant, why you no longer tolerate certain things, why your energy feels different. But that's because they benefited from your unhealed version. The one who said yes when they want to say no, the one who overgave, over-apologized, over-explained. That version of you is easy to manipulate, easy to control, easy to guilt. The healed version of you won't allow that, and that makes people uncomfortable. But you can't live your life to make others comfortable. You can't shrink yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. You can't keep watering connections that drain you just because they once made you happy. Growth requires distance. Healing requires boundaries. And peace requires saying no, even when it disappoints others. You'll lose people, yes, but you'll gain yourself. You'll lose chaos, but you'll gain clarity. You'll lose noise, but you'll gain peace. You'll realize that solitude isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's where you meet the most authentic version of yourself. It's where you learn that your own company is enough. And once you reach that level of self-acceptance, you become unshakable. People's opinions no longer control you. Their approval no longer defines you. Their absence no longer destroys you. You stop trying to convince anyone of your worth because you already know it. You start walking with a different energy, not arrogance, but alignment, not pride, but peace. Because when you know who you are, you stop begging others to tell you. That's the kind of confidence no one can give you and no one can take away. Eventually, you'll realize that the people who are meant to be in your life won't require you to chase them. They'll meet you halfway. They'll communicate. They'll show effort. They'll value your energy. You won't have to wonder where you stand with them because they'll make it clear through consistency, not words. They'll bring calmness, not confusion. And when that happens, you'll see why everything before had to end. You'll understand why certain friendships faded, why certain relationships fell apart, why certain doors closed. It was all leading you here, to peace, to balance, to alignment. You'll stop seeing endings as losses and start seeing them as redirections. Because the universe never takes without replacing. It only removes what blocks your growth. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's habits. Sometimes it's your own limiting beliefs. But once they're gone, space opens up. Space for better energy, healthier love, deeper peace. That's when life starts to flow effortlessly again. That's when you stop forcing and start trusting. That's when you stop chasing and start attracting. Everything that's meant for you finds you when you're no longer lost in what's not. You'll begin to see that closure doesn't come from conversations. It comes from acceptance. Peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. Love doesn't come from chasing. It comes from alignment. That's when you finally breathe. That's when you finally rest. That's when you finally understand. No one is your friend, not in an illusionary sense, but in the truth that you are your own best companion. You are your own peace, your own closure, your own home. And that's enough. Always has been, always will be,